What is up, guys? NinjaNick333, and we are back here for the next round of the Pokemon Oceania International Championships of the Pokemon Trading Card Game. We are here with Kai Hayato on the left, clearly with Lugia, and Azul Garcia Griego, Azul GG as he calls himself, with Lost Box. I wonder what type of Lost Box his group is playing this time. They do like to always put a new spin on things when they play it generally. So maybe there are different tech options this time. Maybe they're still on the Dragonite. I believe that they did not play this at the last event, but they did not do as well as they hoped. Lost Box must have won the spreadsheet again, so... We are seeing that Kai ended up winning the die roll, so he is going first. He is going to be using a capture energy to get a second Lugia V on the bench. He sees that the opponent is playing Lost Box, so it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world to go in attacking with two Lugia V stars. They have 280 HP and give up 2 prize cards, so they are essentially the fattest things, and it's they're just hardier than some of the other attackers. Okay, looks like the judge is forcing Azul to play left-handed in this game. Looks like there may have been some mulligans from Kai's side as well, because Azul has quite a bit of cards in his hand. I think that it is both good and bad that they're forcing Azul to play left-handed. Azul normally plays with his deck on the right side, I believe. That is why the deck was there to begin with. But rules state that your prize cards do have to be on the opposite side of where your deck and discard are. Deck and discard on one side, prizes on the other. Doesn't matter which side, but you have to choose what goes where. So, since the stream forces the prize cards to be essentially where the names are on the screen, one person has to play right-handed, one person has to play left. Normally they don't really reinforce that rule about which side your deck is on when you are on stream, because they kind of just do it that way for the camera, but it looks like they are enforcing that now. So I mean, I did kind of say it earlier. I just wish that they had a camera on both sides with like glass on both sides, so you could choose which side of the table you could put your prize cards on and where you could put your deck. Like, I think that that would be the best situation. Honestly, the best situation is just not let the audience see the prize cards. Like, really. Just put them on the table. You can not even have to put any of that stuff on the top of the screen. Just have, you know, the timer and the players' names, and that's it. That's all you really need. The records are nice. Which round of Swiss it is nice, but those aren't really needed. So that was it for Kai. He does pass the turn. Azul now has, looks like I believe he used a Battle VIP pass for the Comfey Radiant Greninja. And we are going to potentially go in with another one. He doesn't really need to play another Battle VIP pass, but he has it, so it's fine. Oh, looks like he's lost zoning. Okay, he played the Chorus's Experiment. So it looks like the judges are being weird about where everything goes. So the lost zone is normally supposed to be sideways above your prize cards. But because of the stream... Yes, we're still listening to music. But because of the stream, everything is all out of whack. And since Azul is now playing left-handed instead of right-handed, everything gets messed up. I did see a little bit of discussion about this on Twitter. How, like, you're forcing people to play the wrong way and stuff. I believe somebody got some sort of penalty for exactly this kind of reason, so we'll have to look out for that in later rounds. I'm not sure if it is Azul who gets that penalty. I don't believe so. But I know somebody gets a penalty for something to do with where the positioning of the prize cards are. So he is using his first flower selecting, is going to Lost Zone a Battle VIP Pass. Again, he already has 5 Pokemon in play. He does not need the Battle VIP Pass anymore, really, at this point. He is going to use the Capture Energy to fulfill the last bench spot. Looks like we are going in with the Manaphy. I think that is the best choice for the last bench spot. Azul knows that a lot of Lugia decks do play Raikou Amazing Rare that can potentially knock out 2 of Azul's Pokemon at the same time. Everything but a benched Radiant Greninja in play for Azul does get knocked out by either the active or the bench damage from the Raikou. The Radiant Greninja can get knocked out if it's active, but not if it's on the bench, because the bench damage does not hit for weakness. So since that Manaphy is in play, that does deny Kai from being able to get an additional prize card by attacking with Raikou. It'll make it a lot less likely that he will want to go for that play unless he can get an early boss on the Manaphy. But even if he does, some variations of Lost Box do play a couple Clara. I don't believe that this version does, but it should be playing at least an Ordinary Rod minimum. So it is possible that that Manaphy could be recycled and rebenched in the same turn. Azul would know how to set something up like that. Azul definitely being one of the best players in the game. He has been very consistent as of late, getting a lot of top 16s, I believe. Top 16s, top 8s. He won NAIC the last time. So we do see an attach of a powerful colorless energy and then a quick ball awaying the Archeops to the discard pile. We do want that there as opposed to somewhere else. We are going to use Luminion to get a Professor's Research. We are doing the Japan Shuffle, which is not a real shuffle. Hopefully Azul does realize that and shuffles the deck instead of cuts it. I can't tell if he's doing that or not because they decided to take the camera away from the game again. Still not sure why they decided to do that. It looks like he did shuffle the deck. So Azul is one of those players that is just very good about stuff like that. He sees his opponent not shuffling correctly, so he is going to shuffle correctly for them to make sure that there is no foul play. I'm sure that Kai is not doing anything foul with that type of shuffling. That is just how they shuffle in Japan. I call it the Yu-Gi-Oh! Shuffle. That is how the players in the anime of Yu-Gi-Oh! Shuffle, and sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh! Players as well. It is much less effective than the mass shuffle because it's basically the same as just cutting your deck multiple times, and the cards do not get sufficiently randomized. But again, since he's a player from Japan, as you can see on the screen with that JP under his name, he is likely not doing it maliciously. But I do believe if players from another country that has, I think if you're going to enter a tournament, you should be very well aware of the rules of the game. So even he's normally playing in Japanese standard, which is best of 1, 30 minutes that allows insufficient shuffles. He should know that this is best 2 out of 3 with sufficient shuffling. You know, if you're ever going to enter if you've never been to a Pokemon tournament before, I would highly recommend that you read the actual rules document. It is a lot of technical jargon at some points, but I do think that it is a very good resource to prepare for your first tournament. And also go to like some local stuff first. Don't like go straight out to a regional. Find a local game store that you can go to and have other people that are already there that already know the game well enough teach you the rules so that you can have the least sloppy play possible. We do have the air balloon going down on the Comfey, which will allow free retreat here. We already have 6 cards in the Lost Zone for Azul. He is 1 card away from being able to use Mirage Gate. Let's see, we have 110 on this. If Azul was able to Choice Belt the Greninja, he would be able to attack with that and take the knockout, which is fun and exciting. However, he is likely just going to attack with this Cram a second time and finish off the Lugia that way. I do think attacking with the Greninja would be better, but it's a lot harder to pull off. He needs 1 more in that also, so we'll see if he can get there. He has a ton of cards in hand, an absolutely absurd amount. That is how Lost Box operates. And yes, he is just going to attack with the Cramorant. No need to expend extra resources when you are this far ahead already. And yep, takes the first 2 prize cards of the game. He does have 2 Lightning Energy prize, so if he is playing that Dragonite V, it might be a little unlikely that he will be able to attack with it. He should be playing at least 3. I do believe he might be on the Zeraora as well, because I do know that there are multiple people in this tournament that are on the Zeraora. We saw that in one of the earlier rounds, I believe. I think it was the first round, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I believe it was the first round when it was against the Vikavolt, but it didn't really matter. Zeraora is really good because it can attack all of those lightning weak Pokemon and is still a 1 prizer. It is also a lot less energy. It needs a lot less energy investment than a Raikou, not only because it attacks for 2 energy, but it attacks for 1 lightning and 1 colorless. So you can fulfill that second energy with any color, whereas Raikou is 3 specific colors of energy. So it makes it very awkward to try to use. Even in Lugia decks where they have the Aurora energies and the Speed Lightnings, it just still feels very awkward trying to power it up sometimes. So we are using the VStar power. I love how Kai is pointing directly to what he is using. Even when he quick balled for the Luminion and he put it directly to his bench, he still, you know, he still picked it up and put it down, and then he tapped on the ability. So he is very clear about what he is doing with every card, which I love. In a game where you are not speaking the same language as your opponent, that is how you still communicate very effectively. So Kai, props for the great communication on your part. I do generally see a lot of Japanese players do that. I haven't seen many, if any at all, on stream so far doing things like that, but I do love that. I try to do that too. I sometimes forget. But I'll try to, like, just point at the card at least if I'm trying to do something with it. So we saw our first Primal Turbo from the Archeops doing the Hiding Darkness energy and V-Guard energy onto the Lugia V-Star. I think that that is a good choice. You're not attacking with Yveltal in this matchup, so get the Hiding Darkness out of the deck and onto something that can attack for colorless. The V-Guard energy is fairly useless, although it would be best suited for use on the Lugia if a Dragonite or something does come out, so might as well just put that on there as well. Try to get around the Dragonite that might be coming in on the next turn if Azul is playing that. The Serena does get Lost Zoned from a Lost Vacuum. That is also putting Azul's Air Balloon in the Lost Zone, so he already has the 7 in the Lost Zone that he needs in order to use Mirage Gate now. He will be able to Mirage Gate before even using a Comfey or a Greninja on his turn, so as long as he has the attacker he wants to already charge up in hand, with those 3 Mirage Gates he already has in hand, he will just be able to do it. Also, even though that it's not very neat, I do like the way that Kai is spreading out his discard pile. It is technically still one pile. It's not very neat and organized. However, it is spread in such a way that it is as concise as possible while also allowing him to access all of the information in his discard at once. That way, he does not have to pick up his discard and finger through it to see what cards he's already used. He can just go and glance over at it, which is why players usually do that with their Lost Zone, like Azul right now. I find it really helpful doing stuff like that in decks where you're playing like Night March, where you have all the Night Marchers in your discard pile, boosting the damage of your other Night Marchers that are in play, stuff like that. If you guys remember from back then, I know there's a lot of new players now, so a lot of you might not know about the man, the myth, the legend that is Joltik Lampent Pumpkaboo. So Azul does Mirage Gate to the Radiant Greninja. A boss's orders on the Charizard would be really cool here, because he would be able to attack that for weakness, knock it out, and then set up 90 on something else. However, just hitting that Lugia on the bench for 90 would not be that bad either. Yeah, in my opinion, that would be the best way to do it. Leave the Yveltal in play, you don't really care. Kai's already used the Hiding Darkness energy, so you know that's one less energy that can potentially go down to the Yveltal. You can hit the Charizard for weakness, one-shot it, and then set up the Lugia for a KO on a turn in the future by softening it up by a full 90. Unfortunately, Azul does have to use the Colress's Experiment, so we're not going to see that play. Azul does have the Dragonite in hand, so they are still on that. Looks like or actually off of his Colress, so it looks like he is deciding to Lost Zone that along with the Drapion. Drapion, definitely 100% the call to Lost Zone every single time you are not playing against Mew. Although I would be lying if I said I hadn't attacked with Drapion in matchups that weren't Mew, because I had to. So, I've attacked with it in an Arceus deck before, let's just say that. Alright, we get the last energy attached to the Radiant Greninja. It will be able to attack this turn. We get the Sableye benched. We are going to scoop up net for the Greninja to go active. We're going to bench the Snorlax as well. And we are going to see, what does Azul target down? He is going to have to hit into that Yveltal. Is he going to go after the Lugia? I would expect so, because that is the only Pokemon on Kai's board that gives multiple prize cards. We are also going to Energy Recycler. We're going to put 3 energies back in. Looks like 1 Psychic, 2 Water. Knowing that he is going to be discarding another 2 energies this turn. Maybe he is going to Mirage Gate yet again now. He is offering to cut, so I don't see any reason not to Mirage Gate now if you want to. He is going to put the Sky Seal Stone on the Greninja, knowing that he double checks the card, making sure that it's not going to do much of anything this matchup. Since he did Lost Zone the Dragonite and the Drapion, there's really nothing that card offers. So might as well just put it on your active. Your active is probably going to be getting knocked out on the next turn. Looks like the judge has to read it. It's literally doing nothing, man. Don't worry about it. Yep, and we are hitting both the Archeops. Ooh, I like that. That's right. For some reason, I'm thinking that Greninja has to attack the active and the bench, but that's because I've been seeing so many Raikus attacking lately. So yeah, you can choose any 2 Pokemon of your opponents to attack with the Radiant Greninja, and that is 100% the play, because if you are able to attack with Greninja 1 more time, there are no more Archeops in play. Archeops are actually the most threatening thing on the board for Azul. the Yveltal takes a ton of energy to power up. The Charizard is not going to be good until very late in the game. And it is weak to water. It could be one-shot by the Snorlax as well. And the Lugia is not too much of a threat because that is a 2-prizer. Azul can take 2 prize cards off of that to win the game after taking out both the Archeops. Kai not looking perfectly happy. He's like, oh man, he attacked my Archeops, man. I do not like people attacking my Archeops. I would not like people attacking my Archeops either. Azul's like, yes, I want to attack your Archeops. I want to eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We are going to Ultra Ball away a Lugia and a Dunsparce. Just to fail to find. Just thinning those out of the hand. Don't need that. We are going to attach for turn after we had used the Primal Turbo onto the Charizard as well. We are going to retreat the Yveltal because we do not want to attack with that this game. And we are going to Choice Belt the Lugia, which doesn't matter, and Marnie. Both communicating very effectively that they do not care about the cut. Most of the time, I do not care about cutting your hand for a Marnie, personally, unless I think that you're going to be redrawing into those cards within the next couple of turns. Like, if your deck is if your deck is like 10 cards or less, then I might cut your hand for Marnie. If you're gonna redraw into cards that were originally in your hand, when I play Marnie, I'm 110% cutting your hand. And I will explain that to you at a regional. The first time one of either of us plays a Marnie, I will state that fact. I'm like, I'm not going to cut your hand unless your deck is small. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, basically, unless you would redraw into cards in that hand, I'm not going to cut it. And they're like, okay, that's fair. Same thing. It's a very mutually agreed upon thing. Looks like Azul is using Flower Selecting, is choosing to Lost Zone the Capture Energy. We are going to scoop up Net, put up the Oranguru. Are we going to attack with the Oranguru this game? He only does 7. No, we're going to Bird Keeper. I see. We want to reuse the exact same Comfy. That is a cool play there. Gets a couple of Water Energies in hand. That's not going to be super useful. Oh, also, because he set up the Greninja attack on the Archeops, I completely forgot about this. Azul is charging up to 10 in the Lost Zone. He's actually at 12 right now. That Sableye is able to take the finishing blow on these two Archeops, I believe. Sableye does do 12 damage counters to your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like, as long as you have 10 at least in the Lost Zone. Archeops has 150 HP after 90. That is, after 90 damage being done, after 90 damage is done to the Archeops, it has 60 left. Therefore, the Sableye is going to attack, put 6 damage counters on each of the Archeops, knocking both of them out at the same time. Basically winning Azul the game at that point, because Kai's only way to attack will be the Lugia or the Charizard, and it's just the Charizard is also stuck active. The Charizard cannot attack 2 turns in a row. It has a very similar attack effect as Techno Blast in Mew, where Charizard's Combustion Blast cannot be used on the next turn after you use it. So yeah, very heads-up play by Azul. Kind of forced Kai into that situation, and it's always cool to see a player be able to sort of choose how their opponent plays the game, in a way. So yeah, he set up that Greninja when the Yveltal was active. He's like, hey, look, I know that your next best... You're not going to want to attack with an Archeops because they're already damaged. You're not going to want to attack with the Lugia because I'll have 2 prize cards if I knock out the Archeops. So you're going to have to attack with the Charizard. And then I'm just going to Sableye anyway and knock out both of those Archeops at the same time. And you're going to have something active. I'm going to force you to have something active that won't be able to attack again. Would have been fine if he had something like Bird Keeper, but at that point in the game, you are kind of relying on top decks, so Kai likely did not have it. Probably doesn't even play it, potentially. We'll have to see. Azul is choosing his starter. It looks like he is going to go for the Oranguru. I don't think it matters too much what he starts, but this gives him the ability to monkey business immediately. And by not, and if his opponent is going first, this does make it so it's a little more tempting to put a Raikou in play if he doesn't start the Manaphy. If Azul starts the Manaphy, it's just like, yeah, I'm never gonna put down Raikou even, you know? So it looks like Azul does prize the Drapion. We do not need that in this matchup. Otherwise, not really, nothing super relevant in prize cards for either player. So we are going to start with Kai, starting with the Radiant Charizard. In my opinion, that is actually the worst starter in Lugia. It has a 3 retreat cost, which is fairly hefty, and it attacks for 5 energies in the early game. In the late game, it can attack for less. You can reduce the colorless attack costs on his attack by 1 for each prize card your opponent has taken. So if your opponent's at 2 prize cards remaining, that means they have taken 4. Which means that the Charizard can attack for just the 1 fire energy. So you can attack earlier with it in Charizard. As you saw in the previous game, Kai was allowed to attack with it for just 3 energy. But you do not want to be doing that early game, and you do not want to be hard retreating it for 3 energy either. So we are going to likely see a Bird Keeper out of Kai as soon as possible to get that Charizard out of the active spot. Not this turn, because he can't play a supporter this turn. And he's not going to be able to attack this turn anyway, so it doesn't matter that the Charizard's active now. But next turn, when he wants to attack, he does not want to attack with the Charizard. He would rather attack with maybe Lugia or Raikou. But again, don't really see if Kai is playing that Raikou or not. Definitely has that Yveltal though, but that is even more energy reliant than the Charizard. They both cost 5 energy, but it specifically costs 3 of the Aurora energies or the Hiding Darkness energy in order to attack with the Yveltal. Whereas Charizard can attack with things like Double Turbo. So Azul does use Monkey Business. He is going to bench a Snorlax, capture energy. That is probably going to get a Radiant Greninja or a Comfey. That's the Radiant Greninja right there. I do believe I had saw energy in his hand, so he should be able to use concealed cards to discard that energy from his hand and draw 2 more cards. Hopefully he gets into some Comfeys and switching cards, whether if they're in his hand now or not, because he wants to be Lost Zoning as many cards as possible as fast as possible. He also wants to see his Colress's Experiment if he does not have that already as well. If we can get 4 in the Lost Zone this turn, we can attack with Cramorant. I don't think that it's necessary to attack with Cramorant turn 1 in this game because Kai started the Charizard. It's not really the most efficient attacker into a Charizard. But if you can Sableye on your second turn, Azul, then maybe you could attack with the Cramorant here. I do believe I just saw that Zeraora in his deck here for Azul as well. Yep, I saw that. That was the 3rd or 4th card from the bottom, essentially, there, before he put that Comfey in the top. So, yeah, it looks like we are going to go Battle VIP pack. Oh, sorry, I woke up early today. Battle VIP pass for double Comfey. Since he has the Greninja, that is the perfect thing to get. Now you can start looping those Comfeys around and Lost Zoning as much as you can. So I know I've said earlier that I love to see different players on stream. I don't like seeing the same people over and over and over, but I do enjoy watching Azul play on stream. Specifically, I have played Azul IRL before at an ARG circuit series, and it was the most one-sided matchup ever. He outplayed me at every single turn. I drew really high. I think I should have won. He was playing Drompagarb. I was playing Gardevoir GX. And he just kept looping... Enhanced Hammers, Tapu Leles, and Double Colorless Energies, and Acerolas. So he would Enhanced Hammer my Double Turbo off my Gardevoir, so I'd only have one Psychic on it. Then go double Colorless Choice Belt with the Tapu Lele, grab Acerola for next turn when he benched the Acerola, or the Tapu Lele, and then just hit into me. And I'm like, why would you Enhance Hammer? Don't you want to do more damage? But no, he wants to make sure that I can't knock him out. So then I just hit him for damage, and then he plays the Acerola, puts down another Tapu Lele, and then Acerolas, and just keeps looping that. And it was crazy. Then I got enough items in my discard pile so he could Trashalanche for big numbers, so I had to use Gardevoir. I had to use Gardevoir GX's GX attack to shuffle my item cards back in, but then I bricked on all my item cards, drawing into them off of a research, so I ended up having to put all my item cards back in the discard pile again. I think we missed something. Oh yeah, what? Okay, what was... hang on. I don't want to go that far back. I need to go a little bit further back. Oh my god. Okay, we gotta really pay attention to Azul's Lost Zone here, because it looks like he tried to take a card out of his own. My whole arm came off of my desk. Uh-oh. I've been playing with this too much. I apologize. Okay, that should be fixed now. So we have one in the Lost Zone. He is playing Chorus's Experiment. So he Lost Zone's Comfey Quick Ball off of the Chorus's Experiment. He retreats the Psychic, puts the Psychic in his Lost Zone. Okay. So he used Flower Selecting. Yeah, so I don't see any foul play. No, not that one. Okay, so... oh, so he double attached. Okay, so he double attached. He already attached the Capture Energy for turn. Oh, look at the look on his face here. Hang on, I gotta listen to this.
You're just staring at you the entire time. This is about as intense as it gets playing Pokemon, so You know, we must remember not to judge the players too harshly. It is easy to make silly mistakes that you would never make in a normal game here.
To be honest, I don't even know if it was the pressure on Azul.
So he almost took that psychic energy.
It doesn't even seem like a turn 1.
Oh, okay.
In a turn 2 at this point.
Okay, so...
You know, who knows? There's always slip-ups that happen for sure, but it looks like our judge is working hard.
Okay, so he double attached is the issue.
Figure out the situation so we can get reverted back and jump back into this game as soon as possible. Usually when there's situations like this, though, there is some sort of time.
All right. So that is weird, but... Yeah, Azul's turn has just been so long that he forgot he attached. Azul's definitely not a malicious player, so that was definitely... a mistake. I do like to always say that if you're gonna make a mistake like that, you do need to get a penalty, whether you did it intentionally or not. Looks like the judge is able to interpret as well. So he is explaining how a double prize penalty works, because I'm not sure if the rules are same in Japan. So yeah. To summarize, Azul double attached. The judge was able to reverse the game state, and they are explaining the double prize penalty. So Azul now... Kai now has to take 2 less prize cards in order to win the game. If he's taken 4 prize cards, he will win the game. Very unfortunate for Azul, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. I think that penalties do need to... Oh, quad prize penalty? Oh, because he comfade after it too. And he gained information of the top of his deck. No, it's 2 prize penalty. Okay. Yeah, for some reason it was a quad prize penalty at first. It's just a double. Okay, I got scared for a second. I'm like, quad seems really harsh for that situation. But technically he did do 2 illegal actions in a row, so... Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Azul. But yeah... This is why you gotta make sure that your play is as clean as possible. Sometimes I do see players that will have a coin that says like supporter used, and they'll flip it if they play their supporter. Energy attached, they'll flip it. It's kind of like the ability markers. I don't necessarily like the supporter used and energy attached markers like that as much. I think that they're just kind of gaudy and take up space, and that you really just should be able to remember if you attach for turn or not. But I try to make sure that I keep track of who I attached an energy to that turn. That way I don't forget that I've already attached or not. I always make sure I watch my opponents like a hawk at these regional championships and higher to make sure they've used their abilities or attached their energies or supporter and whatnot. You always gotta have your head 100% in the game. You can't just, like, play Pokemon, you know? You have to... This is essentially an esport at this level. You're playing for a lot of money, especially at these internationals. Unfortunately, not as much at the regionals, because they don't like to put out that much prize. The prize structure for the internationals at 500 people is so much better than the regionals at 1,200. It's crazy, but it should be prize payout by number of players. But whatever. That's a whole separate issue. But yeah, whenever any player makes any sort of mistake that is not immediately reversible or gives any type of additional information, like seeing the top card of your deck, it should just, in my opinion, be instant double prize penalty. I don't think warnings should be a thing for the most part. I think maybe slow play warning and then double prize penalty for your second slow play warning of the tournament would be fine. But yeah, no second warnings, just a lot of double prize penalties. Make it a lot more strict, and people will stop screwing up as much if you tighten the rope there. So, the knockout is taken with the Charizard. As I said before, he is able to attack with double turbo energy, but it looks like Kai also plays twin energy as well. So he's really only being reduced by 20, so that is 230 that he's still doing. Which is, fun fact, enough to knock out a Dragonite V if Azul does put that down at some point. So if Azul puts that down and does not knock out specifically the Charizard, he could be in big trouble that way. Kai has taken 1 prize, only needs 3 more prize cards in order to win the whole match. The old double prize card penalty rules were that the opponent took the prize cards, but you could intentionally give yourself a double prize penalty to then play N and have your opponent shuffle draw into a smaller hand. That way you could win the game more easily, so they had to change the rules on that. I personally believe that the prize should be taken by the opposite player. I do not think that they should be prize cards. I think they should be shield cards like Kaijudo and life cards like in Dragon Ball Super. I think maybe One Piece does the same thing as well. And Digimon as well. I think all the Bandai games do life cards. So I do think that if you're losing, you should be able to gain card advantage to be able to come back into the game. Whereas the current prize rules are if you're winning, you get more cards. Therefore, you can start snowballing your opponent. So if something you really need is in order to win is in your prize cards, you have to start winning in order to get to the card that you need in order to win. You know what I mean? So like if you're playing against Mew and you prized your Drapion and that's like really your only out, if the opposite person was taking the prize cards, you would be able to then get your Drapion when your opponent takes a knockout. You know what I mean? I think it would be a lot more fair. So Azul was able to Mirage Gate to his Radiant Greninja. He is hard attaching for turn, looks like to the... He can't decide which energy he wants to attach. To the Snorlax there. He gets the lightning on there. Benches Comfey. So Azul is at 7. He was able to Mirage Gate once or twice. He is now going to use Radiant Greninja. That will knock out the Radiant Charizard, as I said in the last game. If you are hitting the active, that will hit for weakness. Very important to note, with all of the distraction of the 2 prize penalty, Kai only got 1 Archeops out. So if Azul is able to knock out this Charizard and then put 90 on the Archeops, that is just 1 Sableye away from there being 0 Archeops in the game again. So Azul could still win this game even through the double prize card penalty he gave himself. Especially if he can manage to do some sort of Dragonite play to one-shot the Lugia. I don't think he can because of the V-Guard energy, though. Looks like we are benching the Sableye. That Sableye is dangerously close to the Lost Zone. I think Azul should straighten out his Lost Zone so he does not accidentally put the Sableye into the Lost Zone. Azul is able to take a prize card, not the Drapion, thankfully. Looks like Kai is deciding who he wants to promote. I think it's 100% that Lugia. You do not want to be attacking with the Archeops. You want that to stay in place so you can charge up some energies. So we are using Primal Turbo immediately. We're going to be putting some energies on that Lugia most likely. We do see that the Raikou is in deck. We do put Capture and is that Hiding Darkness, I believe? It's hard to tell at this angle because of the glare. Yeah, I believe that's Hiding Darkness. Yeah, definitely. We are also going to attach Heat Fire for turn and just take the knockout. So, pretty scary here. So, Kai is able to take another prize card. He's going to go down to essentially 2 prize cards remaining that he needs to take in order to win the game. Although Azul here will be able to knock out the Archeops with just the Sableye. He might just hit in with the Snorlax. Either way, I think either of those are a good play. He has the Psychic Energy in hand already. So he is promoting the Comfey because he needs to Lost Zone some more cards. We are going to Quick Ball away Battle VIP Pass. We do not need that. I wouldn't have been opposed to him putting it to the top of the deck with Oranguru so that he can Lost Zone it. But this is just as fine as well. If you're specifically digging for a card, it's better not to do it that way because you want to dig one card deeper. Looks like we are going for the Zeraora. It is possible we could hit for weakness if we get a Choice Belt. Zeraora's Fighting Lightning does 30 plus 80 if the active Pokemon is a V or GX. Lugia VStar is a V Pokemon, so therefore you would do 30 plus 80, which is 110, plus 30 for a Choice Belt would be 140, times 2 for Lugia's weakness would be 280. We do see that Choice Belt in hand. We really just need to see a Mirage Gate from Azul in order to fully power up that Zeraora in one turn. He could also Raihan and attach a return. That would get him there as well. He is going to Ordinary Rod. He's going to put in Radiant Greninja, Lightning, and Water. The Lightning definitely necessary for that Zeraora. Also very important to note, there is only 9 minutes left, so if Kai is able to pull out this game, it will very likely be a tie. But it looks like I don't think that it will be possible for Kai because Azul is going in. He is Mirage Gating to that Zeraora. He's getting both of those energies he just put back in with the Ordinary Rod onto that Zeraora. And he will be able to do lightning things. Very unfortunate that Kai kind of bricked two games, really, in this matchup. Much more so this game, I believe. Only being able to get the one Archeops out. So we are going to use Comfey Flower Selecting. The top card was Battle VIP Pass, so if you used Oranguru first, you would have just gotten another Battle VIP Pass anyway, so I guess that doesn't really matter. We're going to Lost Zone the Manaphy here. I believe we should be close to 10 now. Yeah, looks like we're at 9 in the Lost Zone, it says on the Lost Zone counter. So Sableye will be able to take the game next turn, as long as Kai's not able to bench any other Pokemon. We do Bird Keeper to switch into the Zeraora. Oh yeah, Azul put the Bird Keeper in what he thought was his discard pile, but that's his Lost Zone. Yeah, that's the real thing, is I think Azul might have made the prize card penalty. Like, he may have forgotten that he had already attached because he was so distracted by having to play left-handed instead of right-handed. If you're so used to doing things one way and all of a sudden you have to do it the opposite, it takes a lot more concentration to do it that way. So even though the correct rules is to have your deck and discard on the opposite side of your prize cards, I think for the stream, if you're going to force them to have their prize cards on that specific side, you should still allow a right-handed player to play right-handed. So yeah, so while Azul does deserve the prize penalty for making the mistake, I do not think that the fault is entirely his. I think it is 50% the judge and 50% him, if that makes sense at all. So we do have just the Archeops in play for Kai, with a fully powered up Sableye there for Azul, with a total of 10 cards in the Lost Zone. So that Archeops is about to die. So Kai has a decision. Does he put another Pokemon into play and charge that up? Or does he charge the Archeops to take out the Zeraora? The Zeraora does have free retreat. We did see it retreat into the Comfey so that he could, Azul could get that last card in his Lost Zone to have the full 10 there. I don't think there is a way that Kai can pull this game back. Azul is just too far ahead. Even though Kai technically has 2 prize cards remaining, Azul is behind in that regard. But just board presence, Kai has nothing. 1 Archeops is just not going to get him anywhere. If Kai is able to bench the Stoutland, Azul probably would think that that is fine as well. He'll still take out the Archeops and then damage the Stoutland, and then likely be able to potentially knock that out on the next turn after that. So we'll have to see if there is a way for Kai to pull it back. There are only 5.5 minutes left, so Kai is going to have to make the decision quickly. I do believe we are getting very close to slow play territory. He is prize checking essentially now, which is very late in the game to be doing that. He's checking to see all of his attacking options, and he is not liking any of them. At this point, if I were Kai, I would just be scooping it up, and I would, as I always say, just scoop it up and go get a snack. Take a breather, get that tilt off. Like, leave the... It's very loud in these rooms when the tournaments are going on, because there's just so many people talking and yelling and screaming over each other. So you get a headache very easily. Just take a couple of Tylenols, go find a quiet place a little bit away, and just refresh your RK9 Labs page on your phone once every couple of turns, every minute or so. Don't go too far away, but just far enough to where it gets quieter. That way you can just decompress. Looks like Kai is powering up his Archeops. I think he is accepting his fate. So Azul has effectively won this game. Because after he attaches for turn and charges up this Archeops, he is able to take the knockout. Although he will now have a Stoutland in play with no energy. Kai can only attach 1 energy for turn, even if it is a double turbo energy. That is still not enough to feed the 3 retreat, the 3 attack cost on his first attack, which then also only does 40 if you're putting a double turbo energy onto it to attack 1 turn earlier. You are also doing 20 less, so you're only doing 20. You would have to attach 2 double turbos to power it up in 2 turns. We already see a double turbo and a twin down. How many more double energies is Kai even playing? A lot of decks only play 2 to 3. So I don't think that it will be very likely that Kai will be able to attack with the Stoutland. And then again, even if he does attack with the Stoutland and takes out the Sableye, he still has to contend with the Snorlax, which can hit for 180. And if Stoutland attacks, it will do 30 to itself, leaving itself with 180 HP. So Azul has the checkmate on board. Checkmate, as I like to call it. It was check on the previous turn, but after Kai's turn, it looks more like a checkmate now. Kai is checking the time to make sure to see how much time they have left in the game. Kai is not scooping because if there's any small chance, he only needs to take 1 more prize card. If there's some sort of hope, if there's some way he can get another... If Kai had gotten 2 Archeops out in this game instead of 1, Kai could have won it. He really could have. Because he would have this 1 damaged, and then he would still have potentially another one. And even if he didn't, that would have changed Azul's game plan. Maybe he would have attacked both the Archeops with the Greninja again instead of knocking out the Radiant Charizard, but in that situation, Kai would still have a Radiant Charizard to attack with, so... Looks like Kai is using the Roxanne now off of this Luminion. Kai is trying to disrupt Azul's hand. It is likely very large at this point. Azul's going to have wanted to play down as many cards as he could have over the last couple of turns. I think Stoutland can survive this Sableye, but I mean, it already got 6 damage counters on it from Sableye's last attack, because Sableye did 6 to the Archeops and 6 to the Stoutland. So that's more than enough for the Snorlax to be able to come in and just clean house. Snorlax can knock out either of Kai's Pokemon in play, take the last 2 prize cards for Azul. Again, very unfortunate that Azul... Yeah, he's just reading. 180. Yep, that's what it says. 180 takes 3. Looks like Kai is scooping up his prize cards now. And that is the game. Azul does win this game 2-0 with 1 minute exactly left on the clock through a double prize card penalty. And it just goes to show how good Azul is. Even when being forced to play left-handed, even with a double prize card penalty, he still pulled through. So props for Azul. Unprops for him for even getting the due prize penalty, but it happens. And yeah, Kai did his best, but just, you know, that second game, not getting out the second Archeops really killed him. Azul's likely also tested this matchup super extensively, so he just knows how to beat Lugia inside and out. So thank you guys for watching. That was a very interesting game, to say the least. Do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe to feed the hungry YouTube algorithm. And we will be back with the next, and I believe final round of day 1 of the Pokemon trading card game Oceania International Championships. And we will see you again.